I'm Autumn, and this is my first podcast episode, and I'd like to welcome you. This podcast is just going to be about knitting and crafting and the crafty lifestyle. So, a little bit about myself. I have been knitting for 10 years, and I've been crocheting for 18 years. I started out very young. I was 4 when I started crocheting, and then my crafty addiction just went from there. So I knit and sew and crochet and spin and embroider. So I have a lot going on. When I say spin, I mean I have a wheel, a luette, just one of the basic wheels, and I also have some support spindles, which I'll get into a little bit later. So I do a little bit of everything, and I really, really love crafting. It's just a way of life for me, so it's always been part of what I do and who I am. So I have been teaching knitting for about 2 years out of high school, and then once I started college and had to move to Dahlonega, I had to stop teaching. And I had been making videos for ehow.com for knitting and crochet, and I had to stop doing that too. So I hope that this is a new beginning, so that I can share what I know with you and we can all learn together. So I'll be doing tutorials and showing my projects, and my husband John will be here and he'll show his projects that he's working on, and well, let's just get into it. So the first thing, something I finished, and I think I'm going to submit it in a sweater knit-along, is this cute little raglan sleeved kind of crop top with a cowl neck. And this is size 16 to 18. So I'm going to have this up in my Etsy store, and I just wanted to use different kinds of yarn that I had left in my stash. So that was a great stash buster, and that was something I just designed real quick, and I hope that someone will be interested in that on my Etsy store, the AdventureEmporium, where my husband and I sell all of our crafted things. So the next thing that I've been working on recently, another stash buster. This is the Eurydice shawl from Drops Design. And it's very simple, just a gradually increased, diagonally knitted shawl. And it turns out to be an asymmetrical triangle, but I'm actually knitting another half in brown. And I'm just using up all my little bits of yarn. And this brown was actually part of a larger, super chunky skein that I split into 2 plies from 4 plies. And I'll do another tutorial on how to do that, but I got a lot more out of that skein. I doubled the yardage of it very easily. So this is the piece that's knitted with the brown. So that is completely reversing the pattern, and that will just be grafted into those live stitches after I complete my number of repeats for that. Also, I am working on this collar, which I'm going to block and add an edging to. And this is a grape cluster and grape leaves crochet collar. And it's just beautiful. I really love this. I might keep it if I don't sell it on my Etsy store. So I love crochet. I do Italian and Irish crochet, and I also love the Russian patterns that I see on Pinterest all the time. So I'm really into crochet. That was what I learned on. My grandmother taught me how to do that very fine detail work, and I'm eternally just indebted to her for all of the time and effort she put into teaching me those skills. It's incredible. And the next thing that I'm going to be working on is a pair of socks for my husband, and thankfully his feet are not as big as his brother's. John wears a size 12, and his brothers wear size 13.5 and 14. They have big feet. Like, big feet run in both of our families, so our children are just going to have to deal with it. I've hated it my whole life, but it's just something that's inevitable, unfortunately. So I'm going to probably have to purchase 2 more balls of both of these yarns, but this one is Croy Socks, the brown marl rag, and then this is Deborah Norville. It's the one that has bamboo rayon in it. So both of these have some nylon and wool and rayon in them, so they'll hold up a little bit better than the other socks that I knitted John, which I'll show later. And I actually happened to stop by the local yarn store here in Dahlonega. It's called Magical Threads. And I kind of spoiled myself today because I'm trying to knit more for my Etsy store. So I just chose something that spoke to me, and I'll show you what I got. I have too much yarn already, but I really just loved what I saw there today. And she was having a sale. So hey. So this is Barocco Peruvia. It's a Aran weight, and it's really soft for a wool. It's Peruvian Highland wool. I love the lofty singles. I just love that. That's one of my favorite types of yarn to knit with other than lace. So this is Jasper, also from Barocco, and this is merino wool. And I love the hand spun look of this yarn. And sure, I could have spun this myself from roving, but this is all I needed, and it's less expensive to buy this kind of yarn without spinning it. And then to go with that, it's Sirdar Romance, and this has a little bit of sparkle in it without being scratchy, which I love. And the fiber content is acrylic, polyester, and it has cashmere in it. And for, oh my gosh, this was originally $6.50. And I got this for $4. $4 for a yarn that has cashmere in it. That's pretty good. And then I also got this really fun novelty yarn that I'm going to mix in with another scarf or shawl. And I just really like that. I think I can do something fun with that. So these are just all going to be my original design things that I do. And I'll add in a little bit more of other yarns that I have to that. I like it. Okay, this is my DIY segment, so I'll be showing the things that I have made that are not related to knitting projects directly. So I've been wanting a Swift for some time now, and I can't really afford the $70 Swift, so I made my own, and I got a Lazy Susan from a thrift store. This one is probably about 20 inches wide in diameter, so you could use any size really. You just need to attach the screws so that it will stay on, and you can't expand this, but it is very handy because now I can wind all my yarn. And I have my ball winder too. So all you need is one of these accordion hangers and a Lazy Susan, and I paid about $4 for all this stuff. And I'm going to make one for my sister who also knits, so we'll both have much more efficiency with our knitting and get a lot more done. So this is what my sister is working on. It's just a asymmetrical shawl where you increase and it just becomes wider as you go, and it's knitted diagonally. And this is baby alpaca, and I dyed the yarn to match this painting. It's just a copy of Van Gogh's Irises, and you can see the color similarities where I just pulled the different colors from that. If you can, there you go, you can see it a little bit better. And it actually turned out self-striping from this little skein that I dyed, and I just used Country Classics was the dye that I used, and I think it turned out really well, and she loves it. I gave her a couple skeins of this for her birthday and Christmas in different colorways that I did, just because they didn't sell, and I'll show those to you later. And now John won't have to hold his hands out for hours while I'm winding away, which is awesome. And I also wanted to share with you this beautiful handmade yarn bowl that my sister-in-law made for me, and it has this matching little dish that it sits on like that, and I can work with up to 4 colors at a time, and it's just wonderful. I think it's beautiful. She did her little signature, and then it has a swirly in there, and she's made us things like this little counter trivet that I really like. So she's into pottery and beekeeping, actually, and I hope we can get some beeswax from her to use in our crafting projects. But that is all for today. So hopefully John will see us in the next episode, and I hope to see some of your ideas of what we should do for tutorials and what you'd like to see, any skills that you want me to go over with you. I'm an open book, and I would love to hear from you and see what you're working on right now. You can find me on Ravelry as AutumnWinter, and on Etsy as the AdventureEmporium, and also on Instagram as the AdventureEmporium. So I will put those in text for you, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you for watching our first episode of the Adventure Emporium podcast. Bye!